I want to give you an assignment. When you leave this vigil, or maybe any of the time, after now, next week, or whatever, anytime you're doing a study, do a study, a comprehensive study of the love of God for you. There are two different things. There is your love for God, but there's the love of God for you. Now the truth is this: what gives you confidence is when you know the depth of God's love for you. Okay, let me do a case study. You see Peter? Peter was there, John was there. These two men, they paint two scenarios. Peter was an expression of a man who boasted of his love for God. John was an expression of a man who knew God's love for him. One day Peter said to Jesus, he said, all this would deny you, but I will not. He said it in front of the other disciples. All of you, so you see them, Jesus. I said, this guy has guts. All of you, say, look at them. All of them. In other words, these people, don't trust them. Trust me. He said, all of them. But he betrayed Jesus, denied Jesus rather, 3 times. He denied Jesus 3 times. Go to John 13. Read from verse 22. You will see John revealing God's love. If you read John 13 from verse 22, you discover that John leaned on Jesus' bosom. In other words, John was leaning on, then the disciples looked one to another, doubting of whom he spake. Now there was leaning on Jesus' bosom one of his disciples whom Jesus loved. That was the first time. That was the first time the Bible said the disciples whom Jesus loved. Why? He leaned on Jesus' bosom. He leaned on the love Jesus had for him. Oh, nobody's following what I'm talking about. He said, now, whom Jesus loved. The next verse. Simon Peter therefore beckoned to him and said he should ask of whom he spake. Peter, who loved God, was now telling somebody who knew of God's love for him to ask God what God was talking about. You don't get this. Jesus said somebody will betray me. He refused to tell anybody. He refused. Somebody who loved God was not telling another man who knew God's love for him. Ask of whom he spake. Move to the next verse, 25. He then lying on Jesus' breast. Does that ring a bell to you? Lying on the love Jesus has for him. Ask him, Lord, who is it? Verse 26. Jesus answered. It was him Jesus was telling. He it is to whom I shall give a sop when I have dipped it. And when he had dipped the sop, he gave it to Judas Iscariot. Jesus revealed to only that disciple who will betray him. If you read John chapter 19, if you go down from verse 26, when Jesus was dying at the cross, it was only that disciple that was there. And Jesus handed his mother